it is absolutely no secret at all that Lost Izalith was rushed out of development. The area is largely unfinished. The enemy placement here is pretty much garbage. Same goes for Demon Ruins, which is a shame because, honestly, this is one of the more intriguing areas in the game for me. I think this is one of the biggest letdowns, I think, in Dark Souls, is the fact that there's this entire civilization of demons that existed and has fallen to ruin after the Black Knights of Gwyn waged war with Izalith after the witch created the Chaos Flame. And what we get are stupid round statue enemies that breathe fire on you, and googly-eyed chaos eaters, dragon butts, and literal demons just copy and pasted. Not a great area. But the lore for the demons and for the Sisters of Chaos is incredible. When you kill Kirk for a third time, or after you've defeated Quaylana, or after you talk to Iangi, I think that's how you say his name.
If you need something, ask me first. There is no time for idle chat. Think only of our fair lady and what she may need.
Seeing the dedication that these characters had to the fair lady who's become a firekeeper after she's been infected by the blight pus, she chose that life. Kirk served her and brought her humanity. Quelaag was also basically just looking out for her sister. This is one of the first times in Dark Souls where you start to question your motivations and what you're doing. And if you start the game with the Old Witch's Ring, you can actually speak to the Fair Lady. You can enter into a covenant, and you can, offer her humanity.
What is it?
And she gets stronger, it seems like, the more humanity you give her. She's very frail and very weak, and you offer her humanity. And after you speak with her, after you've offered her 30 humanity,
Thank you, Quayla.
she seems to have regained a little bit of her strength.
My dear sister, I still remember your beautiful, silky face. If only I could gaze upon it once more.
But here's a character who sacrificed everything she had to save the people that she cared about. And then the people that cared about her have dedicated their lives to her. Really good stuff. I love the Fair Lady. I love the demons. I love all of that lore. It's all super great. And it sucks that the area that's associated with it is just a sort of unfinished mess. So, my first invader for Dark Souls Remastered is very similar to one of my Dark Souls 3 builds. This is the Chaos Servant. This is not an efficient build. This is basically a build I made for lore. I'm soul level 61, and I'm invading in the Demon Ruins and Lost Izalith, and I basically just wanted to give people... I wanted to make a cool invader, but I wanted to give people a cool enemy they could fight while they're in this otherwise lackluster area. So I tried to make a character that fit into the lore. We're wearing Kirk's armor. We're using the Chaos Claymore, the Chaos Balder Side Sword. These are just, a couple of my favorite weapons. The Chaos Greatsword, Ultra Greatsword. These are just some weapons I wanted to play with. Now, when we get to the stats, you will see that this character is not spec'd out. It's not a twink or whatever. It's not efficient, even. Here's a backstab fight, so we can get those memes out of the way. Alright, so let's all leave a comment that says backstab game, dead memes. We will go over how to get out of some backstabs and stuff like that. It's a lot simpler than I think people assume it is. But let's get it out of the way. Look at all those backstabs. Wow, what a whole lot of backstabs. And then speaking of memes, and speaking of Chaos Infusions, so, in Dark Souls 3, Chaos Infusion is basically just a more different Dark Infusion. But in Dark Souls 1, Chaos Infusion removes all scaling from your weapon. So it no longer scales with your strength or your dexterity. Your weapon only scales with how much humanity you have. As you can see right now, I've got 89. It stops scaling at 10. So once you've got 10 humanity, your Chaos weapon is doing the most damage that it's going to do. If you want to make an efficient Chaos build, what you do is you min-max your stats. You only get enough strength and dexterity required to use the weapon you want to use, and you put the rest into vitality and endurance, or you can be a spellcaster. That's actually the basis of the Giant Dad build. Giant Dad puts everything into vitality and endurance and lets Chaos do all of its damage with the Chaos Zweihander. One of the reasons you'll fight Chaos Dads here so much is the fact that the Chaos Eaters, the tentacly armed, googly-eyed creatures, they drop red Titanite chunks as well as red Titanite slabs, which you need to upgrade your Chaos weapons. The Chaos Ember is found in the Demon Ruins and is given to Vamos in the Catacombs, who can modify the weapons. I went with the Chaos Greatsword, Ultra Greatsword, because I put more stats into strength and dexterity than Giant Dad did. But this build is far less efficient. But, like I said, I did this. This is all lore, baby. This is just a cool lore build that I made. I really like the Claymore. I really like the Balder Side Sword. I really like the Greatsword, Ultra Greatsword. I've got enough strength and dexterity that I can use the Silver Knight's Great Bow. For the equipment, it's the Wanderer Boots, Gauntlet of Thorns, Armor of Thorns, Elite Knight, Helmet. I'm wearing the Wolf Ring and the Hornet Ring, but since you don't have to wear the Ring of Favor or Havel Ring, you can swap whatever you want, really. Chaos Balder Side Sword, Chaos Claymore, and the Chaos Greatsword, Ultra Greatsword. All of those are +5, which is max upgrade. As you can see there with soul level 61, we'll show that off later on at the end of the video. But I'm invading in the Demon Ruins as well as Lost Izalith. This build can invade several other areas because Dark Souls 1 is very non-linear. So you never really know what level people are going to be when they get to this area in the game. Most of my opponents are higher level than me, but that is also just the nature of Dark Souls 1 matchmaking. Look at how cocky this Phantom gets. I'm sorry, this host. Look at how cocky that host gets after his Phantom shows up. Absolutely disgusting, and he must be reminded. Perhaps that Phantom deserved a better death, but this host is getting exactly what they deserve. Cocky. Just cocky. Giving me the well, what is it? But having my stats spread where I've got, a little more strength and a little more dexterity than is necessary. Allows me to play with some different stuff. In Dark Souls 3, I was a huge proponent of great bows, especially the Millwood bow after Ashes of Ariandel came out. The Millwood bow is one of the greatest invader tools of all time. And you can still have the Dragon Slayer great bow in Dark Souls 1. So of course I wanted to have it on my first invader. We've got enough poise that we can get through one Ultra Greatsword without being staggered to death, which means you don't have to be good at toggle escaping. I would still suggest you learn it, but you don't have to do it with this build if you wear the Wolf Ring, which I am wearing. You'll also notice that I medium roll. I was really concerned that it was going to be impossible to win invasions without a fast roll, but I find that that's really not the case, and that poise is as important as the roll you choose. So medium rolls seem to work well for me. I'm fine with medium rolls in invasions. It does mean that I have to be careful if I invade a group of 3 people. I cannot just run in recklessly. I have to sort of like pick my spots. So I basically have to play the patience game when I'm fighting 3 people. But I'm fighting 3 people, so, like any mistake you make, regardless of whether or not you're fast rolling, mid rolling, have poise, no poise, any mistake you make is going to be a serious one. So, medium roll worked fine for me with that in mind. I didn't feel like I was, absolutely neutering myself if I had a medium roll, which was one of my big concerns. I was afraid that you would have to have a fast roll for every invasion build, but I just don't see that that's the case. Still able to make the gankers pay the price. That is how you do a Peverson impersonation, not slow walk into parry, nerd. So, if you invade anywhere in Lost Izalith, anywhere except this room you see me in right now, you will invade right here. You will invade the bonfire right above it, the platform right above it, with the huge branch that you see here that takes you down. Anywhere in Lost Izalith that you use the Red Eye Orb, that is where I seemed to invade. If you invade that area, it's very important that you keep the charred orange ring on you, because you're going to be in the lava. And that lava will straight up murder you if you're not wearing that ring. So as you can see here, I've got that ring on. And what that means is this character cannot rely on the Havel ring and Ring of Favor. So my endurance is pretty high. It's not super high. This isn't like an endurance, gouge build. But it's important that I have that ring access. As you can see there, I hit the opponent right as they backstabbed me, so I managed to escape the backstab. But to be fair, escaping a backstab is much easier than that. Most people that are going to try and backstab you are not going to be in on all these super techy fucking high speed PvP things, right? Most of them are going to put their shield up and they're going to strafe at you. They're going to walk at you, making a circular motion to angle themselves in behind you very slowly. The backstab my opponent just did, you could see they ran in and stabbed me in the back. It was very fast compared to, and here it is again. That's a very fast backstab. Now when you see somebody doing something like that, you can just unlock and turn around. You can move backwards. You can run forwards. There's all sorts of things you can do when you see someone playing like that. But for the most part, most people aren't going to be doing that high-tech stuff. And keep in mind, that's about as high-tech as it gets, honestly. You can see me doing like some reverse rolls and stuff. We'll go over all that, much later on. But right there, the person tried to circle in and backstab me. So what did I do? I just walked backwards a little bit and backstabbed them instead. And it's easy. It's that easy to counter a backstab from the average player. The average player is just going to kind of circle you slowly, and all you have to do is back up and then slowly circle them. I call it don't circle me, I'll circle you. Sort of like the don't call me, I'll call you. It's like that. It's very easy to practice, and it's very easy to get good at avoiding backstabs like that. Your average player is going to try and backstab you like that. It's very easy to avoid. So let's talk about your spawn locations. As you can see, I'm invading in Demon Ruins. Demon Ruins only seems to have one spawn location. It's right near the huge number of Capra demons that are directly above where my character would be right now. Right up that stairway. That's where you spawn in the Demon Ruins. Now, for Lost Izalith, as I pointed out in the last invasion, if you invade anywhere in Lost Izalith, you will invade at the bonfire. You're directly above the illusory wall bonfire. However, if you invade from the illusory wall bonfire, you spawn right in front of the Bed of Chaos. It's weird. But I love this area. I love the lore of the demons. I love Kirk. I love the Fair Lady. All of it is so great. Even the boss here is just a reskin of another boss. This is a great bit of story that didn't get the game it deserved. This area didn't get a lot of love, which is a shame because the demons have some of the coolest lore in the game, and Kirk is one of my favorite invaders in this game. And just the idea that all these characters cared so much about the Fair Lady and preserving their race, that they sacrificed all this stuff, the Fair Lady infecting herself with the blight pus, and then everybody watching after her and trying to help her. A great story that didn't really get the game it deserved, insofar as Lost Izalith and the Demon Ruins is concerned. Now, if you invade inside of the bonfire room in Lost Izalith, there's a hidden bonfire behind an illusory wall. You saw me fighting in it earlier. If you invade from that area, you will always spawn right here, right in front of the Bed of Chaos. This is a really fun place to invade. Sometimes people will have killed the final Chaos Witch. Well, one of the final Chaos Witches. She hangs out right in front of the Bed of Chaos boss fight. You can tell if she's already been killed or not. That verticality. There's also a poisoned pit right below you that you have to help Siegmeyer with his quest, and it will show you your opponent's health if they're poisoned down in that pit. As such, it's pretty easy to spot your opponent. If the Chaos Eaters are dead and the final Chaos Witch, if she's dead, your opponents are pretty easy to locate and find. One drawback is not a lot of people put their sign down for the Bed of Chaos, which means a lot of players do the Bed of Chaos solo, which is understandable because you're probably going to die to it the first time. So not a lot of co-opers, which is a bit of a shame, because I like fighting co-opers more than I'd like fighting solo hosts. But the Demon Ruins, that area, that provides me with a lot of co-opers. A lot of people will co-op the Demon Ruins and help each other with the Fire Sage demon. One thing about, and that's another thing, the Bed of Chaos is such a garbage boss, and everybody knows it, and everybody, you know what I mean, it's been talked to death. So, I thought, to have an invader right here that you have to fight, that could add to some of the, that could add to a player's experience in Lost Izalith. If they were confronted with, after they'd already killed Kirk, they're now confronted with another invader. So the two rings I ran with most of the time were the Wolf Ring, and I was wearing the Hornet Ring just because against multiple people, it's nice to have that. But I was also using the Ring of Steel Protection. Any ring you want, really, you can use. I don't have any attunement. I started off as a warrior, so no attunement slots, so no spells. It's really nice to be able to tag team people with this witch. she won't damage invaders. However, if Kirk invades, he will try and fight other invaders. So you have to be careful. Tons of creative use of the environment here. This place screams plunge attacks, and I love it. This is Dark Souls 1, by the way. I could make an entire montage of me backstabbing people as they tried to go into a fog wall. I have missed this so much coming from Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne, where people can just walk straight into a fog door. Not the case in Dark Souls 1. Even if they touch the door and start walking through it, you can still backstab them and get them out of it. I'll say this too, by the way. In Dark Souls 3, the Ring of Steel Protection is nerfed in PvP. Its effects are lessened greatly in PvP. I don't know if that's the case for Dark Souls 1 or not. When you're playing against big, poisey players, having the Claymore isn't going to do you a lot of good if they can poise through the Claymore's hit stun and you're fighting multiple people. That's why you saw me go for that backstab right there and just get that guy out of the way. Poisey players are just hard to deal with. Also hard to deal with are people who use falchions. If they're using a falchion, I pull out the Claymore. Because most players that are going to use a katana or a falchion, something that does a lot of damage really fast, I can interrupt their poise. I can interrupt their attacks by breaking their poise with the Claymore. The Claymore helps me quite a bit when I'm dealing with players who don't have a lot of poise, but they have a very fast weapon. On the other hand, against a person with a lot of poise, the Claymore doesn't do as well. So I can use the Balder Side Sword and I can just poke them, and I can stay at range, and I can take those pokes as I see fit, as it's safe to do so. This character here is using a very meta setup, the giant mom, a lot of poise, the Mask of the Mother. They're using the Gravelord sword, which is very good early on, but this is more mid-level. This is soul level 61, so I chose this level because I wanted to see how the weapon matchmaking would work. So at soul level 61, it's end game levels. We're talking everybody's got their max upgraded weapon. It's not that I have an aversion to twinking, or I don't like quote-unquote twinking. It's that I wanted to see how it was all going to play out first. So what I did was make a character that wouldn't have to rely on weapon matchmaking. So I've got this +5, which is max level upgrade on all my weapons, the Chaos Claymore, the Chaos Balder Side Sword, and the Chaos Greatsword, Ultra Greatsword. As you can see here, Kirk will attack other invaders. But I'm the Kirk now. You will want to bring some purple moss clumps with you if you're invading here, because you will find people who are in that poison pit. I recommend learning how to navigate it before you invade it, because you will get lost there. Here's the stats. This is the build. It's a lot of fun. I'm loving my invasions in Dark Souls 1. Especially here, kind of lore appropriate. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you liked the build. Later, y'all.